much. So, okay. So, yeah, this is my first time, so I made some notes, as you always should. Okay, I'll keep them here. Right. So, a good evening to all of you, and thank you, first of all, for giving me this opportunity to have a stage of my own. I like this. Thank you so much. And so, this is my first time doing any kind of stand-up. So I have been stood up in my life in the past. This is the first time I'm performing stand-up, so let me be very frank about that. So in case you like any jokes, please do not restrain yourself. Go ahead and laugh. And if you don't like it, I have my crew, so Jen will be passing on $1 each to those. Okay. So I just wrote a few things which I felt I'll share with you. So one of them is my experiences coming to the United States of America and what English language was to me before I came here versus what it is now and so on. So so this is not my real accent. It's a fake accent that I put on. Honestly, because when I was in Japan, we had an issue in the software, and I had to tell my customer. So the accent I would use would be, this software has 3 bugs, and we will fix it and deliver on Friday. And so out here, yeah, I had a funny incident when we have in the office. It's like 50% Americans, 50% Indians, surprisingly. And so the first time I came to the US, I was checked into Wyndham Hotel, and the front desk had an Indian idol in the background, Lord Ganesha. And I was like, whoa. So I asked the American at the front desk, I said, did you get it when you were traveling to India as a souvenir? He said, no, my owner is an Indian and he got it. So I was like, oh, okay. Then the next thing I moved into sleep-in hotel in the Avenue, and the person at the front desk was an Indian. So I was like, okay, this is owned by Patels. And the third thing, when I entered my company, Panasonic Automotive, sorry. The third thing when I entered my company, Panasonic Automotive, so we have these audio amplifiers and tuners that we make, and we usually do sound testing. So I could hear Indian Bollywood music from half the cubicles, and I realized, oh my God, is this the right country, or did I get a wrong stamp? So yeah, before coming to the US, in my mind, what I had was, watching all these Hollywood movies was like New York skyscrapers and, Broadways and Hooters and I don't know. So this was like a total shock to me. Now, in fact, when we were in a cab driving from the airport from Tyrone to probably Peachtree City, there's a large median on the opposing lanes. You must have seen. So in India, the density of population, in US, the density of population is around 94 people per every square mile, and in India we have 1,200 people per square mile. So looking at that median, I was like, we could use these plots, we could have buildings out here. What a waste of land. Before coming here, I was looking at the news. I remember this very clearly. I think it was from Alabama in the US. This is from 2015. There was some Indian grandfather who came to the US for his grandson's birth. And he was probably walking in his son's community, wandering, peering into other people's garages and houses because it's new to them. And some neighbor called the cops, and the cops came over. They asked him a few questions, and this guy was like, Indian, no English, walking. So the cops busted his ass. He's half paralyzed, and it's true. You can search it up on the news. Scene cut to 2017, and so one Sunday morning, somebody knocked on my door like 6 a.m. I was half asleep. I opened the door, and then there were 2 African American ladies, and they said, "Do you speak his language?" And I was like, "Who are we talking about?" So I saw there's this elderly Indian gentleman at the background, another grandfather. And then they said, he was looking into our cars. I think he needs help. should I call 911? And I was like, hold on. And I said, excuse me, uncle, are you okay? And he says, yeah, walking. And I said, you should call 911. We don't learn, do we? When I came to US, I also felt this was just in my head. I thought I might start understanding English as a language even better. So tell me honestly, I mean, who among you had bought Michael Jackson's album Bad, and without looking at the album cover, you could tell that he was singing Dirty Diana? I couldn't, because it sounded something else to me. For example, the song Informer, I still don't know what he says after Informer. Now, a leaky boom boom now. I just know a leaky boom boom now. I don't know what he says before that. In fact, there's one song which I still sing this way. It's see that girl, watch her scream, kicking the dancing. I don't know what the lyrics are though. Moving on to something I realized, the good part in the US I realized was if you're not straight, this is the best place to be because there's a good level of awareness. My friend, she lives in a joint family in India, and she when she came out of the closet, she said she was a lesbian, and her grandmother said, she's a lesbian? I thought she was a Piscean. So we have a lot of catching up to do. In terms of Indian families, all the parents, they want their boys to get married to someone who's tall, fair, and well educated. So my cousin, what he did was, when he moved to the US, he found himself the perfect match. He found someone who was tall, he found someone who was well educated, and thankfully he is a white American. So they both make up a very good couple now. Some things I wanted to talk about, people at CrossFit and things at CrossFit. So all of you know your body releases endorphins after you exercise. So I felt the best place if you want to ever borrow money is outside in the parking lot. Just wait for somebody to come out of the lot. They'll be happy to, and they won't say no. Talking of endorphins, my wife and I, we did a workout here. And we were just leaving. She was all happy. She sat in the car, put on some music, Bollywood peppy music, and then we started driving. Right on the first light, the cops pulled us over, and then the cop and she rolled down the windows. And instead of, before the cop could say anything, she says, "Hello, officer, how can I help you today?" And he was like, "You were speeding, ma'am." And then she looks to me, "Me? Honey, was I speeding?" And I felt like this was a trick question. I was like, okay, take the officer's side, no sex for a week, or take my wife's side. I took my wife's side, and eventually we got a ticket. So I think that's the same thing, Megan, you had an experience for us. 36 years of driving, no tickets, she doesn't watch, goes out, and she gets a ticket. I don't know what you got pulled in for. Stop sign, you said?
Stop sign.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all endorphins, I'm telling you. Okay, talking of performance, I think the first time I did, the first few weeks in CrossFit, and then the first time I actually completed an RX workout. And I was so happy, I went there and I rang the bell, and Rick was like, you ring the bell when you do a PR? I was like, oh, okay. And recently, I think Christy has donated some new markers and shiny boards. Just using that shiny board, I felt like, I was under pressure to perform. Thank you so much. And you should never ever compare yourself with others who are working out. I mean, you should be competitive, but you should never compare. I think most of you know Kristen Bell. So one day she just comes in, she has a meeting conflict, so she has an office conference going on her phone, and she's in one of the corners, she's doing her workout and her conference, she's doing like this. And we, on the other hand, are like, she finishes her workout, she leaves, and then I'm still on my third round, and I have 2 more rounds to complete. Smokey, for example, when there's an AMREP, he draws 2 lines on the board, not 1, 2. And sometimes when I'm confused in terms of whether I should go for an RX workout or I should scale, I just look at Kevin Maloney's workout and divide by 2.
Yeah.
So there's one random thought, comparing CrossFit experience versus people who were working at Disneyland. So I felt that people at Disneyland are all smiling all the time, they're like happy every time. And then I'm very, very sure that when they go back home, they're like, oh, let's put on some movie like The Exorcist or American Psycho or something like that. CrossFitters are the same. We need a balance. So once we're done with the workout, we're all juiced out. So when we go home and my spouse says, could you help me with this home work or something? And I'm like, no, I'm already juiced out. I'm done for the day. In terms of classes, the most inappropriate class in CrossFit is the 12:15 lunch class. So some of the things that others might not have experienced, I would like to share with you guys. So you have to listen to this. So Andrea is, telling us how to do the use the what do you call that, resistance bands, and do these warm-ups for the stretch. And then she goes, okay, after 10 of these, then you do it at chest level. And then my friend Amanda, she's like, oh, the ones before were over the boobs, and now it's under the boobs. And I think that visual is stuck with Chris and me for a long time. So
Scarred for life.
Yeah.
It all depends on your age, what over and under is.
That's a good one. The first, we recommend Lululemon. And the first time we were doing warm-ups and someone said pelvic thrusts, and I was asking Celine, I was like, what was pelvic thrust? And she was like, oh, this is that awkward movement, I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm very sure I heard someone say, oh, Then very recently, I think Rick was telling us hang power clean, so he told the barbell has to go from the knee all the way to the chest. It has to be a rapid motion, and it has to be as close to the body as possible, like this. And I was like, oh, this is sensational. Then switching over to the pandemic and work from home experiences. I know it's kind of stale now, but yeah, I had written these over, so I thought I'll share them with you. Have you ever had like 20 people talking on a call? Some of them don't even know why they're there on the call, but they're just there because they got a meeting invite and they had nothing better to do. So, yeah, so suddenly someone named James gets asked, a question, and James is like, unmutes himself. James unmutes himself and says, sorry, I was multitasking. You were not multitasking, you failed at multitasking. And there was this, the other guy who I think slept during the call, and after halfway through the call, like everybody was silent, so all we could hear is, and it scared the shit out of us. We thought it was Darth Vader. My daughter picks up things from what I say in working from home in the office, and she was not finishing her meal. She was just dawdling around, and I asked her, "Why don't you finish your meal?" And she's like, "I'm working on it." So that's what I said. And I had strange thoughts when I'm doing like dishes 3 times a day. So everything says dishwasher safe, top shelf. Why did they build a bottom shelf at all? The top shelf. And when they started the masks to be mandatory, I remember taking my daughter to school. It was cold, so she was wrapped in a blanket, and I put on her mask, and I was very scared. If someone pulled me over, they could have thought I was, kidnapping a person. It was just my kid napping, and wrapped in a blanket. And some things that I got to hear working from home late nights over the weekend. My neighbors upstairs, they've seen close to midnight. I was working from my office, and then I could hear squeaky. And, so next day morning, when I was throwing off the garbage, I usually just say, "Hey, what's up?" And then I just say, "Hey," and this guy says, "Hey, a very good morning to you." And I go, "Okay, somebody had a good night yesterday." So I was planning to write a book called "What to Expect When They Are Expecting." Well, that's all that I had. Thank you so much.